Returning to our big story, this domestic dispute on board an Alaska cruise ship that ended in tragedy, the death of a wife and mother, her husband now charged with her murder. The FBI says 39-year-old Kenneth Manzanares killed his wife, Christy, during some sort of domestic dispute on board inside their cabin. Afterwards, a witness quoted him as saying, "She would not stop laughing at me." I want to bring in maritime attorney Jack Hickey to help us understand some of this a little bit better. Sir, really a delight to talk to you because, you know, it's one thing to have a crime scene on shore or on solid ground, but you're on a cruise ship in Alaska. How do they work out the jurisdiction? Who's in charge and how do they work that out?
Well, you know, on any cruise ship, and that's a really good question. On any cruise ship, the captain, of course, is in charge of the operations on the cruise ship. In an incident like this, the home office of the cruise line is going to get involved. But the actual jurisdiction of the criminal investigation in this instance is with the FBI. And that is under the special maritime jurisdiction of the United States because a U.S. citizen was involved. So the FBI, under a federal statute, actually has jurisdiction over the investigation of this crime.
Would it have been further complicated if it had been closer to Canada? Because we know those trips go from Seattle up the coast of British Columbia into Alaska. Would that have further complicated things?
Right. Yeah, actually, not, because the federal statute does apply to crimes committed by or against U.S. citizens, even in foreign waters on the high seas. So actually, the FBI would have jurisdiction, little known fact, even if the crime had taken place there. So this crime took place within Alaskan waters, and on the internet, if you go there now, you can see, and on CNN, of course, you can see that it was within Alaskan waters. There are reports that confers jurisdiction on the FBI. Actually, it's the fact that these are U.S. citizens on a foreign flag vessel, the Emerald Princess.
The investigation is underway, obviously, in its early stages. What kinds of questions are going to be asked? I mean, in terms of finding out what could have been done, what happened, I mean, I suppose it comes down to how much alcohol had this person consumed at the cruise ship bar?
Right, and that's going to be one of the big questions that the U.S. attorney is going to ask. Was alcohol involved? Were drugs involved? The U.S. attorney, the acting U.S. attorney in Alaska, has made an announcement that he will not comment yet at this stage of the investigation as to whether they believe it was involved. This did happen at 9 o'clock, roughly 9 p.m. at night. And on Tuesday, the cruise, I believe, started on Sunday. So it was into the cruise. We would maybe anticipate that people were drinking. On the civil side, of course, the question is, okay, were they overserved alcohol? Was Kenneth Manzanares overserved alcohol? Did he have the all-you-can-drink package for $57.45 on board Princess ship? Did he buy that? And was he overserved? His receipts and his account on board, as well as the account of his now deceased wife, would tell that.
One last question. I suppose this has nothing to do with maritime law, but I imagine there'll also be investigation into what kind of relationship they had before they got on board. Was there domestic violence in the home before? Because that might tell them if this was a crime in the moment, a crime of passion, or if this was premeditated.
Right, of course. They will look at that in their hometown. They're from Utah. And of course, the U.S. attorney undoubtedly will contact the Utah authorities and gather evidence about that. I mean, it's a little weird, right? His statement that he gave immediately afterwards, "She wouldn't stop laughing at me," as if that's some justification. Obviously, his temper was high. And probably this is just the eruption of something that had been mounting and foaming for years to come.
A very bizarre story to be telling, for sure. Jack Hickey, maritime attorney, thank you for lending your expertise to our coverage of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.